Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another fantastic episode of the Ridgeback Rumble Talk, brought to you by the Ontario Tech Ridgebacks. And we are joined here today with Taylor from the rowing team. Before we get started, though, how do you pronounce your last name, Taylor? I
Good
need to get
question.
that.
It's actually Ruzgys.
Ruzgys.
Yeah.
Did I get that?
Yes, you're good.
Perfect. So, Taylor, how are you feeling for today?
Great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm always fantastic. Just that's it. So, if you don't know Taylor before, she's pretty popular. But if you don't know Taylor, Taylor is in the women's rowing team, varsity rowing. And of course, she's from Amherstburg. Is that how you pronounce that too?
Amherstburg.
Amherstburg. Okay. Where is that?
It's just a small town that's like right outside of Windsor. I don't know if you know where Windsor is. It's like
Windsor is like on the far left
yeah.
of Ontario. Interesting. So it's a bit of a drive to go back home.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was a big step coming out here kind of by myself.
Okay, we'll talk about that then too. You just gave us the talking point. And for sure, Taylor is actually in the third year, biological science, and he rows in the doubles. And I actually just know a little bit about rowing. So hopefully you can give me a bit of an orientation and that will help everyone else too. And fun fact, apparently you can play the guitar, the drums, the piano. We have a whole musical prodigy right here. And you also met Loud Luxury twice.
Yes.
That's interesting. We're going to talk about that too for sure. But just to get you warmed up, I want to ask you some questions about you and the rowing squad, your teammates, how well you know them and whatnot. And in the whole rowing squad, of course, you look like a very friendly person who gets along with a lot of people. But who would you say is like your best buddy, your BFF?
Kennedy.
Kennedy, okay.
Yeah.
Why would you say Kennedy? Why does Kennedy deserve that position?
She's actually the reason I got into rowing. So we were friends before all of this, and she was like, we should try it. It seems kind of fun. So we decided to try out for the novice team, not knowing a single thing about rowing or anyone that was there. And we've stuck with it ever since, and we actually live together.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So Kennedy is the reason for all of this.
Yes, she is.
That's perfect then. Thank you, Kennedy. So apart from that though, who would you say is like the role model for everyone in the rowing team? That's like the hardworking person, the leader everyone looks up to.
I feel like Adam is definitely someone that people can look up to. He's also with ETS, so he helps facilitate a lot of our training and stuff like that. So whenever people have questions, I feel like he's a really great asset to the team. People just always look to him for answers. And he's definitely dedicated and works really hard.
Definitely. I spoke to Adam actually a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Solid guy, for sure.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean. And finally, who would you say is the clown? Well, that's not really a nice thing to say, but the funniest person on the team.
That's hard.
Don't say yourself though.
No. Honestly, I'm gonna say Emmeline. We had a lot of really fun laughs last season. Yeah, she was definitely like the meme of the team.
Every team needs such a person, honestly, just to blow off steam, especially when the time gets really tough. And actually, I'll use that to segue into my first point. So, rowing in COVID and the whole pandemic coming into the picture, it can get really stressful, a lot of confusion as to what's going to happen next. And of course, just like you said, your friend, that you need to have that person who can lighten the mood, get the spirits up, get everyone going. But what was the scenario like? What was the situation like with the rowing squad in the midst of the whole pandemic?
We've actually been able to stay pretty connected, and we've always been on top of training the whole time. I personally had to take a little bit of a step back on water training just for like health reasons. But we've still all been training like in person together, doing a lot of fitness assessments and things like that, seeing where our weaknesses are. So we've been focusing on that a lot, which is nice because before we would focus only on water, and now it's a nice change. But we're also still getting up in the water, of course. But yeah, it's definitely different. Like we're all wearing our masks all the time until we get in the boat while we're training and stuff like that. So it's a big adjustment, and we're definitely feeling how different it is. We're not competing anymore, obviously, but I think it's kind of brought everyone together even more.
That's good. That's actually a blessing in disguise, I guess you could say. Very interesting too. And altogether, it's very nice that everybody's been able to be very flexible with the
Yeah.
whole rowing squad. And rowing is actually one sport I have a lot of respect for because one, I don't know a lot about it, but I hear about all the gruesome stories about people throwing up
Oh
when
yeah.
they're on the erg, for example, or getting up really early in the morning. You guys get teased for that a lot.
Yeah.
So, what is it like to be a rower altogether? Or just give me a quick orientation. What does rowing look like?
So definitely those parts are true 100%. I've been there puking after being on the erg, waking up and just being like, I'm so tired. Why am I doing this to myself? But every time I get out on the water or I get to the team trainings, I always feel rewarded after. Um, but it's definitely a lot of hard work, a lot of like physical demand that you wouldn't necessarily think. I feel like a lot of people look at rowing as like something that's fluid and easy and you just get in the boat and you're good to go. But it's a lot of technical work. So yeah, you just have to put in the time and that's how you improve. And it's a lot of
Yeah,
fun, really rewarding.
definitely. Of course, when you put in that much hard work and you get the result you want, of course, it's super rewarding. So I know the team works very hard. You mentioned someone like Adam. Adam even mentioned that too as well. It's
Yeah.
always very rewarding at the end when all the hours and early mornings having put into the whole team. And he actually made a comment, and I want to get your thoughts on this. He said that he thinks the future of rowing at Ontario Tech is really bright, and that a lot of people who've never even tried rowing before end up coming to the squad in university and succeeding, getting some really fantastic results. So, what do you
Absolutely.
think the future of Ontario Tech rowing looks like?
Honestly, I couldn't agree more. I feel like over the years, I've noticed because like I came in as a novice, as I mentioned,
Yeah,
and then you move your way up to varsity. So when you're in varsity, you can kind of see the new people come in as novice every year. And every year, I've just seen more and more dedication and just like absolute love for the sport. And that's amazing because that retention is going to be there and people are going to continue to stay and build our team and grow. And yeah, the novices that we had last year were amazing and they've stuck around. And yeah, I think the future is definitely bright, like Adam said.
definitely. That's good to hear. I mean, we only want to get better and better. We don't want to get worse, do we?
Absolutely.
In that sense, though, let's take this down to you as well. Okay, you've looked at the whole squad. Now we want to get to know you better on the Rumble Talk show. Should we call it that, the Rumble Talk show? I don't know, whatever it is. But the fans, your fans, want to get to know you better, Taylor,
Okay.
and they want to know some of your personal side of your life. So, if I was to ask you one question, just to say, what's one weird thing about you that not a lot of people know, you like to keep on the low key? Just one weird thing about you.
Weird thing about me. I guess not a lot of people know that before I was into rowing, I was really into like competitive horseback riding.
Oh,
Yeah, that's something that I don't really do anymore, so it's not something that's advertised. That's a fact about me that not a lot of people know, I guess.
that's good.
Yeah.
What got you into that sport?
I started when I was 2, and I've always loved animals. So when I first saw a horse, I begged my mom, like she put me on a horse when I was that young, even though they told her not to. Obviously, but yeah. And then ever since I was growing up, I would beg her to like let me take lessons. And then eventually she just gave in and let me do it. And yeah, I stuck with it.
Shout out to your mom, for
Yeah.
sure. Inspiring dreams everywhere.
Yeah.
So let me actually ask this question. If we had a horseback riding team or equestrian club, is that what it's called, equestrian?
Yeah, you got it.
Horse, yeah. So if we had such a club, would you choose that over rowing?
I don't know if I would choose it over rowing. I feel like I would definitely try and do a dual athlete type of thing because
Okay.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah, I can see you definitely would love that for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So this is kind of a bit of an introspective question.
Yep.
And sometimes I ask my friends this. It's one of those really deep questions that gets you thinking. But looking at yourself, what would you say is your biggest strength and your biggest weakness?
My biggest strength, I would say, um, is my ability to kind of be determined on my own. So if there's something that I really want or some kind of goal that I want to achieve, I don't really need any outside input. It may take me a little bit longer if there was no input, but I definitely get there regardless. And I'm not hard on myself throughout the journey. My biggest weakness is probably not prioritizing myself enough. I tend to put a
Ooh.
lot of people above me. Um, yeah, that would be a weakness, but I'm working on it.
To an extent, that's actually kind of good. I mean,
Yeah,
you're a
it's a
selfless
blessing and
person.
a curse.
Exactly. Just depending on the context of the situation, I guess,
Yeah.
how you read it. But good, good. Good job in even being able to read yourself quite well. It can be kind of a difficult skill.
Mhm.
So, seems like you're actually into a lot of sports yourself. I mean, you've mentioned horseback riding, you've mentioned rowing too. How good are you at golf as well?
I just started golfing this summer, actually. I love it. It's so much fun. I'm definitely not the best, but I've seen crazy improvement since I first started this summer and since the last time I went. And I think that's kind of like what's so addicting about it is you see those small improvements. So I'm really excited to keep trying and keep going. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Definitely. I mean, I haven't tried golf myself, but from the way you described it, for sure,
You should
once you
try it. It's
start,
fun.
you can't look back, right?
Yeah.
And I think I can see that. You said you're a very determined person, and once you
Yeah.
see that you're getting better at something, you don't want to
Yeah. You
stop
just gotta
that
keep
thing.
going. Yeah.
That's great. So, I mean, just not even just sports alone, even music as well. It seems like you're good at everything music wise. Just tell us about your musical abilities altogether.
So I'm like good at most of those things, but I'm not like amazing at them. And I'm not like better at one than the other. I feel like I just kind of picked it up along my life. My dad was always really musically inclined, so he taught me a little bit of guitar, and then since I got a taste for it, I just taught myself the rest. Piano and drums. Drums I took lessons for actually for a couple years, and then
Okay.
piano I just taught myself. But it's just something fun to do to pass the time and not really think about whatever's going on in your life and just listen to
Yeah.
music, which I know you obviously understand for sure.
100%. In
Yeah.
fact, what's your favorite kind of music to listen to?
I would say like indie kind of music. It's hard to explain. Maybe like indie pop
Yeah,
is the genre.
that's definitely a genre. A
Yeah.
lot of people love that. Great, great, great. All right. So, in that actually, you seem like a very, I would say, what do they call that? Eclectic person, someone who has multiple sides to them as well. Because I heard this through the grapevine. That I always hear everything through the grapevine. That you really love traveling as well.
Yes.
So just describe that. What have been some of your favorite destinations to go to and favorite places to have visited, favorite things you've done? And if you want to, spill the tea on some of the funny stories you've experienced.
Okay, so my favorite place I've ever gone is Costa Rica. I went there in high school. We actually went to do like a research trip. So we were studying like different animals and insects in the rainforest, which was really interesting. And it
Mhm.
just gave me a whole new appreciation for that area of the world. It was beautiful. I'd go back for sure. And then a funny thing that's happened to me was actually meeting Loud Luxury in Florida. I was there for work with Kennedy, and we were at a diner and they had performed earlier that day and they were there at the diner and they were playing Giant Jenga with everyone. So I just chilled, hung out with them for a little while and they actually recognized me from when I first met them back at Ontario Tech for when they did that concert. So
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I remember that. That's kind of fortunate.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. You're a very lucky person for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be surprised if you meet them the third time, to be honest.
Yeah, right.
But it is what it is. So I would say we just say that's kind of Taylor in a nutshell. What side have we missed? Because it seems like there's nothing you can't do, essentially. So what part am I missing? I've tried to
um,
cover everything.
I'm missing. I don't know. That's basically me. I really like to just keep myself busy with learning new things, even if I'm not the best at them. I just like to keep adding things to my list of hobbies. I love my friends. I love my family. I love
That's
rowing. That's basically me.
that's good.
Yeah.
So with all the options, of course, that you have in front of you, and we'll talk about family too. That's actually the last thing I wanted to talk about. After graduation, with all the things you've mentioned, there are a lot of things that you could possibly venture into.
Yeah.
So what is your post grad like? What's it looking like right now for
Um,
you?
so my main goal is to graduate with my undergrad and then go into my master's. I want to do a master's in some sort of forensic science, and then eventually do my PhD as well, because then I can do like analysis from different labs, from different crime scenes. I can open up my own lab if I wanted to. I want to specialize in like blood analysis, and then I can even testify in court in murder trials.
Interesting. Murder trial is definitely people like to watch that on TV.
Yeah. Oh, I
But
do.
how how much different is it in real life?
Very different. Like learning things about the forensic system and like TV shows, for example, like CSI and things like that. It's definitely very different. They glamorize it a lot on TV, so I learned that pretty quickly, but it's still really interesting. So
Definitely. It makes for good entertainment too as well, especially when you know it's not real, when it's fictional. But that's great. So before going into the final part, the part we're all waiting for, about your family, about your upbringing, your hometown, all the wholesome stuff in that sense, I just want to ask you some quick rapid fire questions. Just the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
So you want to eat breakfast tomorrow morning. What's the first thing you go for?
Avocado on a bagel with egg.
Perfect. I wonder how many times you've had that. The way you just like know that recipe. Perfect. So what's your favorite time of the day?
Early morning.
Early morning. Okay. Let's see. Water or fire? Just pretty random question.
Water. I love the
Water.
beach and the ocean.
Yeah, I can tell. From rowing to, of course, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you play games, like video games and all that?
Unless Sims count, then no.
Sims definitely count. Sims is a
I
game.
love Sims.
Yeah, let's not exclude that. So, what do you play Sims on? If you were to play Sims on any console or anything?
I used to play it on a computer.
Okay, perfect.
I also like GameCube, even though it's so old, but I loved my GameCube.
I remember that game. That's a classic. So, do you watch Marvel movies?
I have seen some. I don't like have to watch every single one when they come out, but I've definitely seen them.
You've definitely seen them? Okay, so who's your favorite character then? First thing that comes to mind.
Is Spider-Man Marvel? I don't even know.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, good, because I like Spider-Man.
Nobody hates Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man.
Okay.
That's my guy. So, if you could pick between summer or winter, what would you choose?
Summer, for sure.
Summer. Why would you say summer?
I hate being cold. I'm like always freezing.
Isn't it freezing on the water every time you go out there?
Sometimes. It depends, but yeah, it definitely can be.
Yeah, that's good. So actually, that's not good. That's not good. I say that's good to everything.
Really nice. It's nice and warm.
True. That's the kind of environment you want.
Yeah.
So, looking back, a bit of reflection. This is like the second introspective question I want to ask.
Okay.
How would you summarize your life story up until this point in terms of the day you were born, maybe significant places you lived in, influential people in your life, random wacky stuff you've done that you remember for no reason, in 1 minute or 2 minutes if you want to stretch it? How would you summarize your life story?
I've been very, very blessed. I feel like my parents are huge role models for me. They've really influenced my upbringing, obviously. But random things that I remember from my childhood. For some reason, I always remember this story, but when I was younger, like I said, I loved animals. So I begged my parents to adopt this dog from the shelter, and he did, and he ended up being like really crazy. And he would escape our house almost every single day and then go and steal our neighbors' slippers and their shoes and then bring them back to us. So for some reason, I just remember that from my childhood. And I feel like that defines me in a nutshell because I loved animals and yeah.
So do you have any pets right now?
I do. I have 3 dogs.
3 dogs. What are their names?
Lucy and Chelsea. Yeah.
Lucy and Chelsea. Why did you give those names?
Well, they were both adopted, so they came with their names.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't give them like any nickname or anything besides that or anything?
Lucy, I'll sometimes call her like Lulu, but that's basically it.
Okay, fair enough.
Nothing fun.
And do you like, what other animals do you like apart from dogs?
All animals.
All
I
of them.
can't even really think of an animal that I don't like. I cry over small little puppies and cats and like even weird animals. Like if I saw a bat, I would probably cry because I think
What?
it's really cute.
Do you like snakes as well?
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Oh my days. What's the weirdest animal that you've probably come in contact with or interacted with before?
Well, when I was in Costa Rica, I saw a couple weird ones. I was actually in the shower in my cabin and I put my towel to my face and there was a scorpion in my towel. So that was like a very scary moment for me, but it was interesting to see one in real life.
Oh my goodness. Did you scream when that
Oh,
happened?
yeah.
Oh my goodness. I would freak out completely. Like I
Yeah.
would lose my mind.
For the whole
That's
time.
fine. I mean, you're here today. You're not
Yep.
dead. So that's good. And to just wrap up the whole thing together, we touched on a lot of things, of course, but if someone was to get to know you better as a person, away from sports, as you know, I said you have lots of fans in your rowing club. So if someone wanted to see who is Taylor outside of rowing, outside of school, what would you say? How would you describe yourself from your perspective?
Um, I would say I'm kind. I mean, I hope I am. I hope I'm kind. I like to hang out with my friends and just like help them and they'll help me and we just have like really good friendships and relationships. So if someone wanted to get to know me, I would say that we'll probably get to know each other on a deep level and we'll have a great friendship because that's what I like to do with my friends. And I feel like I'm really calm and like shy to people that don't know me, but once you get to know me, I'm like, I'm crazy. So
Ooh,
in a good way, I'm
ooh.
like, yeah.
In a good way. Okay,
Yeah, like a
let's
fun
make it safe
crazy.
that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean. So actually, let me ask that though. How would your friend Kennedy describe you?
This is funny because I actually asked her that the other day. She said fun,
Okay.
and then she said something about fun, active, like being into fitness, and I don't remember the rest, but I think she would say I'm like a gentle person.
Okay, that's good. I was expecting something different because I know friends usually like to always describe their friends in a bad light, say you're
No,
annoying or
she
you're
got
this or
me.
that.
She's good.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So how would your parents then describe you in the sense?
um, Probably as a procrastinator.
Oh,
Because if they ask me to do something, I always wait till the last minute to do it. I get it done, but I procrastinate for sure. But I think they would also say that I'm a hard worker at the same time, if that makes sense.
yeah, it does. That's what you want to hear from your parents straight
Yeah.
off the bat. That's good. Lots of great compliments I can see. You have a very strong support
Oh,
system.
yes. I'm very, very blessed.
Definitely. That's great. So finally, the stage is yours, Taylor. Who would you like to shout out? Who would you like to talk about or mention that we didn't get to touch on? Or if there's a special moment that you didn't want we missed earlier on that you wanted to talk about. Now is just the time. Honestly, you can just rant if you want to. It's your stage.
Always shout out to Kennedy. Obviously, this is like her third shout out, but it's fine. Um, Something we didn't talk about. I think we talked about mostly everything. Um, I have a question for you.
Okay. First time ever. First time ever on
What's
the
your
show.
favorite genre of music?
What's my favorite genre of music?
Yeah.
So people always tease me for this, but I'll say classical music
Oh,
because
okay.
I think
I
it's the
didn't
purest
expect
form of music.
that. Okay.
Do you listen to classical music?
I don't, but you know what? Maybe I should start. What's your suggestion? What's a song that I should start with?
So let me see, what's the easiest to process? Because most people always say like it's too complex, so I don't even know what's going on and this and that.
Yeah.
So honestly, just start with Mozart or
Okay.
Beethoven. You know that dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun,
It's
dun. I
funny
think
because I
that was
used to listen to that
Beethoven.
as a kid. I used to have like problems of like falling asleep, and my mom
Yeah.
would play that for me, and I would always knock it.
I still do that to today, so don't worry, you're not the only one. Perfect. So that's good. Thank you very much for the question. Appreciate that. And of course, thank you for joining us on the show. This was the Ridgeback's Rumble Talk. I had a lot of fun asking all the questions, and definitely you were fantastic sharing about your life. We learned a whole lot about you, and thank you. Best of luck in the rest of the year.
You.
And bye.